Mr. President, the Justice Department has this new fund that was announced today, $1.7 billion.
Yeah.
Why should taxpayers pay for the January?
Well, it's been very well received.
What do you make of this $1.7 billion fund for
bad news? We're going to try to kill it.
You're going to try and kill it?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. And how?
Well, we're considering legislative options. We're going to write a letter to the AG to start, but we're considering a legislative option.
Okay.
We're trying to unpack exactly, what the legal machinations are, but can't do that.
Right. And have you ever heard of any other Americans, other than Trump as an associate?
I haven't.
Who are unauditable by the IRS?
I've never heard that before.
Okay. So would that be part of the legislative?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, you can't do that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
A few moments later.
Prime Minister Netanyahu.
When her husband votes against me all the time, can you imagine? I don't know what's with him. You better ask him what's with him. Her husband, she's married to a certain congressman. He likes voting against Trump. You know what happens with that? It doesn't work out well.
Trump has a major problem in the House, and it's not just with Democrats, it's now with Republicans, because when your party controls the House by a razor-thin margin, you cannot afford much dissent. You need near total discipline, every vote. But according to a Republican congressman, he is vowing publicly to help kill a Trump-backed fund that is basically a political weaponization slush fund. That's right, Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, a Republican who also happens to be engaged to a Fox News senior White House correspondent, Jackie Heinrich, which is only relevant to mention, right, because Trump just attacked him directly through her while taking questions outside earlier today.
Really,
Did you have a problem with Prime Minister Netanyahu?
when her husband votes against me all the time, can you imagine? I don't know what's with him. You better ask him what's with him. Her husband, she's married to a certain congressman. He likes voting against Trump. You know what happens with that? It doesn't work out well. I don't know why he does. But.
This is after he already called her out for daring to speak with a Democrat while hosting on Fox News. Can you imagine?
Trump lashing out at Fox News, accusing the network of undermining MAGA and the Republican Party, and claiming that MAGA Republicans hate Fox. He blames Fox for making it hard for Republicans to win elections. Donald Trump posted the following: "You could listen to Fox News all day long, absolutely devour it. But then when you hear sleazebags like Congressman Ro Khanna, a wolf in sheep's clothing, lie, 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 and lie again without any pushback or competent rebuttal from an anchor, in this case, Jackie Heinrich, the entire common sense dialogue that has been going on all day at Fox is completely obliterated. Why would Fox put scum like this on, or others, such as low-rated Bill Maher, who gains credibility by constant referral to him as though he were a liberal source of wisdom, or very low IQ Hakeem Jeffries, who considers the Supreme Court illegitimate and probably hates our country, no matter how fair and balanced the day's news at Fox may be. The end result is destroyed when professional liars, conmen, and liberal crooked politicians. This is why MAGA Republicans, who are actually close to 100% of the party, hate Fox, despite the wonderful contributions made by so many of their great anchors and commentators. Hard to win elections like this."
Well, Fitzpatrick told Midas' own he still would help kill Trump's so-called weaponization fund. The Republican told Midas that they are drafting legislation right now to not back, or at least investigate, the $1.7 billion taxpayer fund to help crooks.
Congressman, what do you make of this $1.7 billion fund for
Bad news. We're going to try to kill it.
You're going to try and kill it?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. And how?
Well, we're considering legislative options. We're going to write a letter to the AG to start, but we're considering a legislative option.
Okay.
We're trying to unpack exactly, what the legal machinations are, but can't do that.
Right. And have you ever heard of any other Americans, other than Trump as an associate?
I haven't.
Who are unauditable by the IRS?
I've never heard that before.
Okay. So would that be part of the legislative?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, you can't do that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
The fund is known as the, quote, anti-weaponization fund, designed to compensate people who claim that they were victims of politically motivated prosecution. And while Democrats are calling it egregious, rightfully so, the key point here is that a Republican, is also opposing it.
We're back with Brendan and Scott. Scott, I guess the good news here is what the congressman was alluding to. You know, how bad is it? It's so bad, even terrified Republicans are vowing to, quote, kill it.
There are so many Republicans coming out against this thing, Nicole. It appears to me this slush fund is like as popular as poison ivy or a dinner plate full of vegetables, even for Republicans. I've got a whole list here. Brian Fitzpatrick told me he wants to just kill this thing. Fitzpatrick won a primary, faces a tough re-election in Pennsylvania. David Schweikert, frontline Republican in Arizona, says he is very concerned, deeply concerned about the money. And Don Bacon says he's not sure how Trump got this whole lawsuit settled. How do you negotiate against yourself? He's troubled. But I go deeper here. There are some MAGA Republicans who are equivocating. Clay Higgins of Louisiana, I asked him if he's comfortable with the payout. He says he's comfortable having a conversation about how this works. And Lindsey Graham says he wants to see what happens when it gets to the Senate floor. Nicole, that presumes this thing even goes to the Senate floor. It'd be Republicans who put it there. Nobody is claiming ownership of this thing. I have zero statements of support for this fund from any congressional Republican.
And the concern is obvious, right? Trump has spent years claiming that he and his allies were victims of a weaponized justice system. Now, his administration is basically setting up a massive fund to compensate people who say that they were targeted, which is why many people are bringing up January 6th, because it's set to help those who violently attacked the Capitol and attacked police officers.
So we think that those people, we think that anybody involved in that process should partake. And you're talking about peanuts compared to the value. It destroyed the lives of many, many people. Thank you very much.
And Democrats, led by Representative Jamie Raskin, are introducing legislation to block the fund, arguing that no federal money should be used to establish or fund such a program.
The way that you are describing it, including your reference to the emoluments clause and other means by which this seems pretty illegal, even to somebody who's not a lawyer, makes me think that these things ought to be stoppable in court. I mean, who has standing to challenge the Board of Peace slush fund that you were just describing, or indeed this new one that they're trying to set up at DOJ?
Well, it won't surprise you to learn that the Roberts Court has made it extremely difficult by erecting the standing doctrine, political question doctrine, sovereign immunity, you name it, making it extremely difficult. And in addition to the fact, of course, that they've said that the president is not subject to criminal prosecution for actual crimes he commits under the auspices of his office. But at this point, everything must be tried in order to try to restore the rule of law in the country. We can't leave any potential tool just sitting on the table. We've got to try to attempt everything. But we must start by trying to get our at least 4 or 5 Republican colleagues to come over to our side to say this is utterly lawless and authoritarian, and it cannot stand. And a couple have made noises like that, but those are people who are in tough re-election races, and they might be trying to send the signal they've got a problem with it. If you've got a Republican running in your district who's saying, yes, this is problematic, ask them, will they sign their name to co-sponsor a bill to block this outrageous expropriation of the tax dollars of the people for completely political purposes, to give to Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, rioters, and insurrectionists, the people who beat up police officers. That's what this is about. It's about funding or pre-funding Donald Trump's private militia.
And Fitzpatrick said that he intends to help eliminate it. And Republicans, as I mentioned, have a very narrow House majority, right? So when even one Republican peels away on a major Trump priority, it creates a problem for the president, which is why he is going after him, not just in his usual vulgar way, but by making remarks to the man's partner when he's taking questions. Trump 101, he signals punishment, retribution if he's not offered unwavering loyalty. It's pathetic, but it's indicative of the modern day Republican Party and what they've become. There's no independent thought outside of Trumpism, even if it's to do with issues like combating child sex trafficking or giving criminals money for ripping apart the Capitol. If Trump says let it be, then they have to oblige. But Fitzpatrick, well, he didn't fold. He doubled down, vowing to help kill the weaponization fund. And this issue is particularly interesting because it connects to Trump's broader authoritarian critique his administration is creating a fund that could use taxpayer money to compensate political allies, which would be a hard sell to voters, especially while Americans are struggling to get by with gas prices through the roof and the affordability crisis, the main cause for concern amongst Americans.
Now the expectation is not really for inflation to get much better throughout most of 2026. That's the story that you're seeing in these reports. Essentially, there's going to be some tariff inflation passing through on the good side. Now you have energy prices impacting services. It probably just isn't going to get that much better from here. And I think investors know that. They're focused on the AI story and hoping this inflation story doesn't get too much worse.
MAGA are basically saying, yeah, prices are high. Healthcare is expensive. The war is unpopular, but we'll still keep going. But do not worry. Congress is focused on a $1.8 billion fund for people claiming they were politically persecuted. And of course, who can forget a new ballroom?
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.